on this week's edition of Jaguar TV.
Golf season teed off this month and have gotten off to a great start. Good luck this season, Jags.
Congratulations to the newly elected band council. They are Mallory Martin, historian, Lillian White, chaplain, Max Westick, president, and Cole Cooksey, vice president.
Sanaya Dawson and Takayla Johnson visit Jackson this week for the DECA Executive Board meeting. Sanaya is serving as Vice President of Communications, and Takayla is serving as the District 4 Coordinator for the state of Mississippi. These students were involved in planning events for the upcoming DECA year, including Fall Leadership Conference and competitions. It is going to be a great year for DECA.
Honors Chemistry performed a lab experiment where they had to predict the products of reactions. Many of the reactions produce colorful precipitates, which are solids that sometimes form when two aqueous solutions react. After the experiment, students had to write and balance the equations and document their findings in a lab notebook. #Legends.
Hi, my name is Zanari Hamilton. I'm a pharmacy student at William Carey School of Pharmacy in Biloxi, Mississippi. I attended North Pike High School and I am a 2019 graduate. After graduating from North Pike, I attended William Carey University in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where I obtained my Bachelor's of Science. I was a biology major and a chemistry minor. While attending North Pike, I took advantage of every honors, AP, and college course that was offered to me. By the time I graduated North Pike, I had 12 college credits. So that means I graduated a whole trimester ahead of my other classmates. So this year I got to graduate in February with my bachelor's rather than in May. In high school, I got the chance to take honors physical science, honors chemistry, and AP chemistry with Miss Tammy Russell. I'm so grateful that I had an awesome honors and AP chemistry teacher, because when I reached the undergraduate level as a freshman in Inorganic Chemistry 1 and Inorganic Chemistry 2, majority of the material that was presented to me, I had already learned. It was down to the point where many of the experiments that we did in Inorganic Chem 1 and 2, I had did those in high school with Miss Tammy Russell. Luckily, since I had previous exposure to the materials, it's not like I'm just trying to play catch up. Instead of me playing catch up, I'm ahead of the curve. Since I have already seen these materials, I have already learned how to do those. It's just refreshing my memory. So I say all of that to say, I encourage you all to get involved with those honors, AP, and college courses. I know a lot of times, especially seniors, you're like, oh, I just want to easy load this year. I don't want to be in AP and honors courses and stress, and it's just too much. I understand, trust me. But I encourage you all to take those classes while you're in high school, so when you're in your undergraduate or graduate, whatever you decide to do, it won't be as hard for you. And I wish you all a successful school year. Thank you.
Get down!
Welcome into the second edition of Jag Talk. I'm your host, Ty Goldman. I'm here with our head football coach, Matthew Mott. Coach, congratulations on the win. How's your morning?
That's good so far. It's definitely a little enjoyment over the weekend to enjoy that victory, but now it's time to get ready for Park Lane. So you got to get ready for the next chapter.
That's right. So we'll go over the last game. We'll start on offense. We showed flashes of really positive stuff. Thought we were really explosive at times. But I thought we were a little bit inconsistent some towards the end of the game, and then snap-wise, it was pretty bad throughout the game. We had a couple of just some bad snaps. How do you address that inconsistency? And then, like, when that inconsistency does get addressed, how dominant you think this offense could be?
Well, I mean, even in a game that you're victorious, you're still going to have areas that you weren't really that good in, and you spoke on it, and I think that's some stuff we have to work on throughout the week coming up and throughout the season. We've got some guys that are making plays, which we like to have, but at the same time, it's like my wife was saying, we forget that was our first full game, and she said that you were playing 4 quarters for the first time, and by the end of it, it was 10:30 at night. Because we didn't walk off field till 11:09. So I think some of that could be that we had young men who were tired. Hopefully that's something we can fix throughout the season.
So you talked about guys that were making plays, and I thought senior Xavier Nunn made a lot of plays. He stepped in at a position that he just hadn't really played, and he was really a game breaker, I thought. How big is it to have a guy that can step in and make that big of an impact to your offense?
Well, you're exactly right. I think it's something we started working this summer with him, moving him around receiver, DB, quarterback, and when Ty Jones went down against Warren Central, we knew that we had to have somebody step up. And you look towards your seniors first, and he's a senior that's been on the field under the lights, and so he had a great night, and I hope he keeps doing that moving forward.
So we'll move to the defensive side of the ball now. Other than the first drive, right, I thought we were incredibly dominant, and the defense played a major role in the ball game. Obviously, 41-8. We had a scoop and score touchdown, 6 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. Can you speak to their success and how hard they've worked, and how important is it to have a defense that can win you ball games?
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think when I look back in the history of my time at North Pike, is in 2020 we went over to Franklin County and they took the ball down first drive and scored. So it's almost like we're repeating history again, showing that, hey, we're not necessarily where we need to be to start the game. We got to get better at that, but we learned from that. We held tough. We made some adjustments, and our guys played really well on defense. So I'm very pleased with how they came to that adversity of not only just, having that score go against them in the first quarter, but also the rain delay that, we had to go back inside and take shoulder pads off. And so it was a great team win, and so the defense played a big part of it as well.
And then we'll move into special teams. Again, a position, Ty Jones was hurt, right? So that's a position that gets shook up a lot. Ty Jones, very good kicker punter. So we kind of rotate through a lot of guys trying to find a kicker. We end up with Jacoby Barnes, and he goes 3 for 3 with PATs. I thought that was a big positive you could take away. And then kickoff returns and punt returns were really, I thought we were executed very well on those as well. How can you speak to the success of the special teams, and how do you think they overall did, and how can they improve?
Well, I think when you look at football, and especially at high school football, a lot of times you're hearing coaches say, if we can win just 2 of the 3 games, the offensive game, the defensive game, the special teams game, we can definitely win the game. But a lot of teams would be just happy with having 2, and I think we had all 3, Friday night, and that's the credit to those young men for stepping up in the return game, in the kicking game. And Jacoby had a good night all around. He had some good kickoffs for us. 3 extra points, 2 touchdowns, running a forced fumble that created another touchdown. So, he had a great night, but you got to give credit to all those guys that were blocking on those punt returns and on those kickoff returns. And Dylan Clark had a big time return for us to kind of get us back in the game. And Xavier Nunn had a good punt return. So I was very pleased to be able to say that we won all 3 of those phases, and ultimately it led to us with the final victory.
So health-wise, I thought sort of later in the game we kind of saw some injuries, a lot of cramping and stuff like that. Do you think that kind of spurs from kind of a lack of being able to get outside a little bit because of all this heat, or do you think that's kind of the first couple of games, it's just how it goes, or maybe a little bit of both?
I think there's no way to practice for a game-like experience. And that's what you cannot prepare yourself for, because when you actually walk out on that field on Friday night, you're going to sweat way more than you would at a practice, because the energy's up, you're prepared, but you're not prepared for that environment. And so I think, like we said earlier about the lateness of the night, a lot of these young men had been up since 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning getting on a bus or driving to school. So it was a long day. And so we're gonna hopefully chalk that up to a little bit of just excitement and adrenaline being used a lot, and then the length of time that we played that game. So we got out of it healthy, which I'm happy with. You know, anytime you can walk away with a game without any injuries is big. But, you know, I think that's young men also learning how to play it within themselves with all that energy and all that sweat coming throughout the night, that we just got to learn. And so hopefully we'll do better as we move.
So before we end off, we face Park Lane this week at Southwest. 1-1, they won last week, 28. Or actually, yeah, they won Saturday, 28-7. So a team that's got a lot of experience, and that's something that they've harped on, and that's been a big thing for them. And you know, they got a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. What are your keys to the game and getting a win Friday night?
Well, I think, you know, it's going to be a big game for us anytime we get a chance to play at home, enter, you know, county rival, if you want to say it's a rivalry. It's going to be fun just to see young men play against buddies that they've had throughout their lives. I think the keys are going to be simple. It's what they always are. Is we've got to make them not be able to run the football. We've got to stop them from running it. Make them throw it. We've got to shut down their receivers. I think if we do that on defense, we'll have a very good chance. On offense, we'll have to do kind of like we did Friday night, find some ways to spread them out and score some points, use some of our speed, use some of our size. So it's a game that I think everybody's going to be excited for, but it's a game that's going to be anybody's game because it's Friday night football, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
That's right. Thank you, Coach Mott, for the interview. Jaguars show up Friday night. We play Park Lane at Southwest Mississippi Community College. And now we're with senior golf player Kingston Wilson. Kingston, how you doing today, man?
Good. How about you, sir?
I'm making it, man. I'm making it. So, I wanted to ask, how do you feel your first couple of rounds of golf have gone this season?
I mean, honestly, it's been good. You know, it's always good to get out there. It's a little hot right now, a little hot.
Yeah.
But once you get out there, you know, you get a good few shots. So you get back out there.
Yeah.
Love the feeling.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of elements to being a successful golfer. You've got your short game. You've got driving. How you hit your irons is really important. So, what do you think that you've really improved on this season in your golf game?
Most definitely my short game. Come leaps and bounds from what it was when I started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, can you talk about a little bit more? How have you improved your short game? Whether it be practice, you know, extra hours you're putting in.
Just practicing at home. Short game you can do in your backyard, front yard. It's real easy. Just get a ball, get your club. So really just practice, and you know, always watching a few videos, asking for help on the range, you know.
Well, I appreciate it. Good luck on the year.
Thank you, sir.
And that is the second edition of Jag Talk.